Welcome everybody to Vizion with Alaska Tracy. So grateful that you're here for this episode. We have a wonderful guest today, Nick Coriano, and Nick is joining us from Connecticut. Welcome, Nick.
Hey guys, hi all the listeners. I'm excited to be here. Excited to be talking to Tracy, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks for being on the show today. We're doing something different, Nick and I. He's kind of a little bit, you're more techie than I am. I'm a little bit more social savvy. But today I hit the record button on my Zoom platform, and Nick, you use Zoom as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're on Zoom.
We're on Zoom.
We're actually videotaping it.
Yeah, we're videotaping. So hopefully we can take this to both of our YouTube channels as well. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think I had to get dressed up, but if you watch my vlog, I'm like this all the time. People are always asking, should you wear a tie? I'm like, why? You're home shooting a video. You don't need to put a tie on for that.
I know. I'm in my office away from home, and somebody just told me how tired I looked. So I just put a little lipstick on.
Oh, man. Kick that guy out of the house.
I know. Don't you hate that when people say that? Somebody
Who
peeked
said
into
that?
my office and said, oh, you look so tired. And I'm like, nope, I'm not buying into that. So anyways, Nick is a finance professional. I'm just glancing at Nick's bio that you sent over to me. You were a former Wall Street executive, and you're currently a consultant to clients on 5 continents. That's really exciting. Looks like you're a finance guy. And I believe the reason that you got a hold of me or found me was you have a new book out.
Yeah, I do. I just published a book on Amazon. It's an ebook.
Congratulations.
The Rules to Entrepreneurship. Yeah.
So this is an ebook.
Yeah, it's an ebook.
Great.
Published it. It was a long time coming. I always dreamed of publishing a book and had a vision of publishing a book, and finally just sat down and actually collected the book that I already published. In today's day and age, the new generation, if you're blogging, I think blogging is very underutilized. If you're not blogging, you should be blogging or vlogging or producing, creating something. And I had been blogging for about 5 years, and I realized I had a book already. So I put together all my content, reworked it, and put together a book. And it's just tips on, how I live my life and the things that have worked for me in times when it's been hard as an entrepreneur, and really just in life. So I go over a lot of smart things in the book. Well, one of them is my 6 rules to life. So 3 things you don't need: fear, doubt, and indecision. Those are 3 things you have to eliminate from your life: fear, doubt, and indecision. And the 3 things you need: belief, desire, and a plan. And I kind of put those rules around almost everything I do and any kind of entrepreneurial venture I tackle. And those are some of the kind of things. And also kind of how to set SMART goals. There's other things in the book, but yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why I reached out to you, was to see if I can get some airtime on the book and to make a connection. Social media is great to, sometimes you meet somebody to do one thing, and all of a sudden, there's a lot of like-minded people. You can find people that are very like-minded on the internet, which is fantastic for business building.
Like-minded and different strengths, different skill set. Like already, yeah. I told Nick about putting this on YouTube. Hopefully this will record our video so that we can put it on YouTube. And then he took it one step further and was like, oh, you can cut pieces of it. You can go to Fiverr and have somebody transcribe the whole podcast and on and repurpose all this content over and over and over. I mean, it's endless.
Yeah, if you think about it, I was thinking about this last night. In America, we have, I forgot who he was, but he would run a telethon on TV every Christmas. I forgot, Jerry, I forgot, but it was for a charity. And he would, Jerry Lewis.
Yes.
Jerry Lewis, right?
Yes.
So and I realized that in that 48 hours, what he did was produce 48 hours of content. Like, that's a lot of content. And back then it was even more, right? Now you can produce content a lot easier, but that was a guy that, throughout the year you saw that content in some way, shape, or form, and that content was being used. And then later on you could license that content out again. So I'm infatuated with content production, the internet in general, the internet and getting hits in general. I built an e-commerce business online. I have videos online. I show everyone how I took it to over 6 figures on Amazon, buying and selling goods. I buy land all over the country, and my focus is to sell it online. So I'm very focused on this idea of building a catalog of goods or services that people will find online, whether it's through a podcast or a vlog or a post. Yeah, that's really interesting to me.
So let's back up a little bit. Can you tell us, me and the listeners, how you started with your business, Homescape? How that came to be, if you've had any challenges or struggles along the way? What's been your motivation and vision?
Yeah, so my vision has always been to build a big company, employ a lot of people, eventually get to a place where I can be a philanthropist, where I guess philanthropize along the way, right? Give back along the way. And I started Homescape LLC in 2006. I'm a lifelong entrepreneur. I'm the guy who sold lemonade when I was a kid. I was selling candy in 8th grade. I played my first stock market game in 8th grade. That was very transformative in my life. I thought I wanted to be a CEO my whole life. I thought I wanted to be a bank CEO. So after school, there was a little bit of a blur period there where I partied. But I went back to school. I got my finance degree, and I got an internship at Merrill Lynch. And after that, I went to the New York Stock Exchange. And when I got there, I realized I hated my job. I hated it. And this whole vision of my life till I was 26, 27, I had this one vision of my life since I was in 8th grade. I wanted to be the CEO of a bank. And when I got there, I was miserable. I wanted to bang my head against the desk, and I was like, this is not for me. So I had a pivotal point there in my career. I was going to law school to facilitate that. And really in law school is when I stopped lying to myself and said, I'm an entrepreneur. Right before I went to law school, I started Homescape LLC, which was in 2006. That's the company I run now. And the trials and tribulations were many. So we started, a water company that didn't do well, that was struggled.
A water company, like a utility company?
So no, a water like a bottled water company.
Okay, I'm like.
Although it's funny you say utility, because when I think of projects and I say I'm going to start a water company, I don't define it to myself on purpose to see what will transpire. So it could be a water company, a water utility company. It could be a water bottling company, right? It could be a whitewater rafting company. I don't know what it's going to have something to do with water. But our thing was, there's a lot of people in the world that don't have access to clean water. It's a problem. That's how we saw it. So we set out to strive to solve that problem at Agua. And it's AAGWATT if anyone wants to go check it out. We're kind of in a resuscitation mode there. We're taking a little break to, but we made a lot of mistakes. We ordered 100,000 bottles. We raised money too early. We raised $50,000 from investors way too early. We didn't know what we were doing there. I went to Michigan with my partner, and I was bottling water. I'm a law school graduate. They're bottling water, So we did things that in out of order. Like we didn't focus on sales early on. We focused more on production and marketing. So we learned a lot there in that business. But my mistakes have been, I like to say, fail fast. So the fastest way, all my successes have been because of my 1,000 mistakes. I remember them to make sure I don't make them again, but you make them, so for sure in that timeline I made them.
So then the water business led to.
So like I said, I'm a rabid entrepreneur. So what happened was Homescape LLC, I started as a construction company in the boom, right? So 2007, 2008, the market's booming. I said, well, I need to go put in windows and doors. And I did. I did some construction for a while, did okay. Got hurt on the job, decided to go back to school. When I went back to school, I turned Homescape LLC into a holding company. And I used whatever money I had to buy a little bit of stock because I was fascinated with the stock market. Now it's my first year in finance school. Finally get through that. I realized I don't want to be a banker. I'm in law school, and I changed the stock, and I started investing into small startups. So I started the water company with a few $1,000s and a couple.
Is that a puppy behind you? Sorry.
Oh yes. No, is it? Can we get a special guest appearance? Come here. I wish we could get a guest appearance. I know I forget she's here.
Oh.
Hi, Lola. That's Lola. She made a guest appearance on one of my vlogs.
Hi, Lola. Hello, Lola. See, now if I wasn't on video, I wouldn't even know Lola just joined us. Sorry, listeners.
You guys got to check out the vlog. If you're listening, hit us up on YouTube. Find Alaska Tracy and Nicholas Coriano on YouTube. You'll find this video.
And you're going to send me all those links as well.
Absolutely.
Good. Okay.
So I started investing in startups. I started a water company. I learned how to build websites and blogs, and I realized a website is a business. So by the time I had graduated law school, I had developed over 30 websites in different sectors. So New York website designcenter.com, that's me. ConnecticutWebGroup.com, that's me. Servitude.com, that's me. NikkiNice.com, that's me. TaxSale.co, that's me. I got over 30. I was a big domain investor. To rewind for 1 second, when I was 18, I bought happyhourmagazine.com to start a magazine. You want to talk about a failure? Blew $15,000. I bought a brand new Mac, a brand new camera for $500. I had all the equipment all set to start this magazine. The only thing I didn't have was sales, right? This will kill any business or a game or any kind of game plan. So I blew through $15,000, but I had bought this domain, happyhourmagazine.com, for like, back then in 2000, it was like $7 for 5 years. It was really, really cheap. And long story short, a year later, somebody called me and bought it off of me for $500. So I'm 19, it's 2001, and I realized I just made a 5,000% return on a domain, right? Pure number speaking, I spent $7, I sold it for $500. I said, wow, there's something here. So early on, I caught the bug with domain investing. Fast forward to 2009 when I was in law school. Now there's website platforms like Shopify and WordPress. You can actually build your own websites. Like I said, before I graduated law school, I built 30 businesses. Some of them sell land. Some of them sell, my coins and banknote collection. That's my geek, my hobby collection. You'll see me collecting silver and coins and banknotes from around the world. Most of them sell services. So nicholascoriano.com sells my business plan writing services. Servitude sells services to file your LLC, to form your LLC, or to form a business, or to raise money, any kind of documents like that. So that's where I am now. Now I'm at Homescape LLC, and I'm holding on to all these ventures, and they're growing like wildfire. And out of all the struggles I've had, what I realize is if you believe and you tell people what you're gonna do, if you tell people, if you vocalize it after you visualize it, it happens. It happens. It's a crazy thing, man.
So in sync with all the people that I've been interviewing. That's what they've all said. They're Sue B. Last week, Instagram expert Sue Zimmerman said, "I just started telling everybody I'm the Instagram expert."
Yeah.
Bingo. I mean, and then work, right?
Yeah. Don't miss out that element. Yeah.
I think that's the piece I know in business coaching, and I think in life we get hung up on social media, right? The compare and lose game, I call it. Scrolling, comparing ourselves to what others are doing, when in fact we don't know what their bank account looks like.
You know really? What I like to do, and that's so true. In this society, a lot of people deal with that. A lot of people that don't even talk about it deal with that. And I like to say, create, don't consume. Create, don't consume. So, me and my wife, to be candid, my wife had a conversation about this, and she said that, she had this ill feeling. She took Instagram off of her phone because you get this ill feeling kind of when you're looking. And, she said, well, what's the difference? How do some people do it? We just had a candid conversation about how do you think some people do it? And I started comparing the Kanye West, the Kim Kardashian, the P. Diddy, right? Because when you talk about social media influencer, they're at the top, right? Let's get real. You got the guys with 500,000, but let's get real. A tweet from Kim Kardashian's going to outpace any of those. And what I realized is that, one, they're shameless. They're shameless. Even though to our president, Donald Trump, all the way to the top, right? They have this sense of when they do something, they're okay with themselves. They're okay with themselves. That's one. And two, I don't think, and I don't know these people personally, but I don't think they go onto Twitter or Instagram and watch. They go onto Twitter or Instagram and they produce something and they're out. So
They're going to the
I'm
bathroom in the morning.
exactly. Yeah. So I'm a firm believer, create, don't consume. There's nothing but bad news out there anyway. I put up a tweet that almost went viral. I like to say almost went viral, right? But it got a couple retweets. Not many, but it was about, shut off the news. It was shut off the news because it's like, I watch the news every night somebody gets killed. You live in New York or any populated place, turn the news every night somebody gets shot, somebody got killed. It's like, I'm 35 years old. I've never seen anyone get killed. I don't know about you. I mean, I'm sure people have, but my point is, if I watch the news, I'm led to believe that there's a murderer out of my door every single day. It's like, I've never seen a murder in my life, but I turn on the TV and every single day they're telling me one has happened.
Uh-huh. It's the same with the neighborhood Nixle and Home Whatever Watch, and we have bears up here, and granted they've gone rampant this year. I mean, they're just everywhere, but everybody's posting them everywhere.
Yeah.
And we live up on the mountain, and it's like, yeah, I could sit there and watch all the bear postings and never leave my house. Or exactly. I could carry my bear spray, be loud when I'm, take precautions and keep living life.
Exactly.
So we digress. So what would be your ideal client today?
My ideal client, Bill Gates. Elon Musk. How about Elon Musk? Mark Zuckerberg.
Okay. Somebody's listening to the podcast. My podcast.
Oh, well.
Who could you help?
All of you. I have I'm sure there's a lot of entrepreneurs, people business minded on this podcast. And what I would say is, at Servitude, when I started Servitude with a C, by the way, guys, Servitude, I said, my motto is going to be, what do you need? So everything from the napkin to the NASDAQ, I like to say, everything from your idea, from a pure conceptual point, all the way to $1 billion organization. I understand the tools. That's my passion. My passion is business, startups, is understanding everything about it. So my ideal client just tells me their problem, and I reverse engineer their solution. So, and that's something for entrepreneurs, especially consulting entrepreneurs. If you guys are listening, I'm sure some of you guys are. If you guys are consulting, or even products, when you're selling products, but consulting especially, someone's going to call you. And depending on, what services you offer, what your forte is, your number one job should be to listen to them for 2 to 3 minutes. And after they're done talking for 2 to 3 minutes, you'll understand what they need. And then you go into your pitch. So be careful about when people say, well, what kind of client do you need? What kind of offer? What do you offer? I would say, well, what do they need? And I'll tell you what my scope of service, because there's a lot. And I think people minimize themselves too much. I think people say to themselves, well, you got to be this one thing. Let's get real. Tracy is good at 10, 20 things, 30 things. She's not just good at one thing. You know what I mean? Nick is not just a business plan writer. Now, of course, for marketing efforts, sometimes you have to niche yourself there, right? You have to present yourself that way. But when it comes to services, spread it out a little bit. There's maybe areas where you have so much more value and add so much more value to the customer and get paid so much more. I had a professor tell me once, not a professor, a mentor really, and he told me, he said, there's this guy, he walks in, he tells me this story, he says, there's this guy who walks into this billionaire's office and he has this idea that he think can make him $100 million. And if the idea works, the investor has to put in $1 million and they split. So everybody gets 50 million for a $1 million investment. Right? So he walks into the billionaire's office, and he starts pitching them this idea, right? And the investor says, no, I don't need that. But if you could do this, I give you $75 million. And the guy says, no, he's so hung up on his idea that he just walks out and he says, the guy wanted nothing to do with it. Meanwhile, the thing that the guy asked him to do was within his circle of competence. And if he took it, he would have made $75 million. If he executed his deal, he would have made $50 million. The point is, people will tell you what they need, right? People are going to tell you exactly what they need. And if you're not opportunistic, if you're so focused on what you can provide and only providing that, you may not be able to scale to that next level when that opportunity presents itself. And you don't know how it's going to look or present itself, right? It doesn't always look like Bill Gates knocking on the door. It could be a guy that really does have a really good idea, and your strengths complement that, right? And you guys are able to grow together. So.
And it's such a crazy world we live in. Like, so many of the experts for years and years in social media and business and business have said niche, have a 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 niche, one message. What's your message? What's your message? And now I think it's going the opposite.
Now I think it's
diversify.
I think you still need that niche to get that base.
Right. And then
you're wide open.
Right. Many streams of income.
You're wide open. Exactly. So like two examples just from me and you looking at each other. Mine is business plan, and me looking out at you, I see there's an Alaska niche, right? You have Alaska in front of your name. Okay, you're geographically niche, but you're not really geographically niche,
right?
Because you got a guy from Connecticut that's reaching out, and you got services from all over. So that niche helps you identify a base. It gives you a reality, because they say when you market to everybody, you market to nobody.
Right.
So I guess, having a core base of people that know you for something, that you've talked to for something, is important, for sure.
Right. It's an interesting world that we live in, for sure. And I do business planning as well. However, I do it through vision boarding. So I do vision board workshops, i.e. business plan on a vision board.
Ooh,
so it's
that's so funny. Me and you are vibing, because I do business plans, and literally my backdrop on my phone, I created a digital vision board.
So we could help each other out.
Picture, it has a picture of an ATM stub with $9 million in it. It has a picture of my stock account with $2 billion. It has a picture of a Ferrari. It has a picture of world peace. It has a picture of me and my wife in the year 3000. Right.
Wow.
If we're gonna visualize it. So
wow.
Yeah, and even a set of abs in there, so I can get back.
That's good.
I can try to get back in shape.
That's good. That's really, really good that you have that. And you take it one step further. I had somebody email me a couple of weeks ago looking for help with writing her resume. I don't do that.
I say any kind of writing, I'll take care of it.
Okay. All right. So see, we are already making alliances here where I could send business to Nick. And that's the one thing that I've had to get over with doing this podcast has been, and if I could show it to you, my mantra in life is secret agent of God or spirit.
I love that. I'm a religious man. I know some people don't like to talk about. I believe in God.
I'm not religious. I'm spiritual.
Okay.
So secret agent of spirit. What that means to me is that I'm always looking for ways to help others to grow this rich, wonderful, meaningful life. Mm-hmm. So this podcast came to be, and I question it every week. I scratch my head and go, so I'm doing this podcast and I'm promoting all these other people. What's in it for me? So that's the truth. That's the scary, real truth of Alaska Tracy. And then every interview that I do, I go, this is why I'm doing it. Like, I have no idea really why I'm doing it, but I do. My goal is to help others, to enrich others' lives.
Deals bring, it's funny you say that. I've done the same thing. If you look at my vlog, if you type in Nicholas Coriano on YouTube, you'll find my vlog. My first video or my second video, I think it was my first video, I said, why am I vlogging on YouTube? And my goal was to make 1 billion millionaires. So literally, and then 1,000 billionaires, and then a couple hundred trillionaires. So I want to, even if you're rich, I want to still help you move up the ladder, right? But yeah, when you help other people without wanting anything back, it comes back so much bigger. It comes back so much bigger, and it's hard because a lot of people, what happens, they want that instant gratification.
Right, and brains kick in, right? Like
they say, well, I need to get paid. What am I doing with my time?
Yeah.
What am I doing here, right? Is my time better spent somewhere else? And that's why I always say, that's why I loved, before we started even recording this, you brought out that phone to tweet, and I said that I just put up a vlog called The Double Whammy, talking about how well do you use your time? When you drive, are you listening to an Audible? When you vlog, are you turning it into a podcast? Right? There's a farmer out there that's going to go out there today and work 12 hours really hard, and he's going to get paid a certain amount. And then there's a guy that's going to go out there and work half hour somewhere and get paid 10 times as much as that farmer. Why? Right? Why? Because they were putting in they were using that double time. They were thinking about how their time was worth that much more. And I truly believe most people undervalue their time in life. Like, I mean, it's not about money. It's about your time. You know,
right.
It's all you got. It's all you got, man. You know, so if you really value your time, you know, you're always thinking about how to multiply that effect. And the more you do that, and giving back, I mean, what you're saying is, I can't say it enough. Like, to put it in perspective, it's something functional for an entrepreneur. Tweets. You can go out there and send tweets all day and just promote yourself and put out motivational tweets on yourself. The second you start retweeting other people and start quoting other people, that's when you will get the hits.
Exactly.
That's when you will get the engagement. So it's like, until you give, you can't get. It's very hard to get.
Right. It's back to the basics. Give,
Mm-hmm.
give, and then talk about your awesome self.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I always say, if you're providing, you know, to put it into numbers, if you're providing a service for $1,000 to someone, if someone is giving you $1,000, you should be adding $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 in value to them. If you follow that train of thought, you'll never ever have a problem getting a customer. Ever. A billionaire will give you $1 million if you're adding 100 million to him. No problem whatsoever. So, yeah, it's a focal point for entrepreneurs for sure. You know, that we should definitely keep in mind. What is so many people are, what can I charge? What can I get? The question is, no, what can you give them?
Right.
How much can you give them? How much can you give them? Like, even me, right? I write business plans. So me and you, we're right in line, right? I write business plan. Am I cost competitive enough? I
don't write the business plan. So if somebody comes to me and they want, you're going to be my go-to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Facilitate workshops to help them create their vision business.
Their vision,
plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't write them. So now.
Okay. Yeah. No, I can absolutely help you write that. Yeah, for sure. I'll give you a list. I actually white label my services for entrepreneurs. So I have my invoice and I'll give it to you. You can put your name on it, and then we work out a commission-based structure.
Yeah. Because some people do just want somebody else to do all the writing for them. And
I think it's a sign of intelligence when you get somebody that, if you're not good at something, you know, and you got the time and the resources to do it, and you can pay someone that's specialized in that, and do it, you know. And I think I struggle with that, and I'm sure a lot of other solo entrepreneurs listening struggle with that. I struggle with the idea of having to let go and get people to do something else. But the truth is, if you can't take a vacation from your business, then your business runs your life.
Exactly.
So if you can't remove yourself from your business and your business still makes money, that's your goal. That's what should be most people's entrepreneurial goals. Most people want to be the Zuckerberg. No, man, I don't even want to be here. I want the business to make money and cut me a check. That's why I love the stock market, right? I love the idea of buying Boeing at 2.5%. Just send me that check. Make sure that check, right? That's a sustainable business. A startup, your goal is to get there as fast as possible, right? It's to get to a point where Alaska Tracy podcasts are running and the audibles are downloading and clicking and delivering money when you're not there, right? Or creating enough digital products that, you know, will take you there. So, yeah, I mean, that's definitely something I keep in my focal point, and I definitely try to tell the entrepreneurs that I consult with, you know, work on your business, not in your business. Sometimes you're gonna have to work in your business, but you gotta take that day or two. I try at least once a day to step out, shut it all down, and think, what would I do tomorrow if I had to start all over again? Yeah. Right? If everything crashed. Do you want to talk? Here's another experience of a bad time that I bounced back from real quick. We had I built 30 websites when I was in law school. And a lot of them were promotional websites for public companies. And one morning I wake up and I was hosting them on different servers, Bluehost, Blogger. You can host your website wherever, right? GoDaddy. And they had hacked GoDaddy. And 5 of my websites where I had client work up, I was promoting client work, were down. I woke up in the morning, there was a pirate on the website. And I had bought these websites pre-made already, you know, so I had spent all this money to build these websites. And that's when I figured out how to learn and build my own website, because I was like, man, I just spent a couple $1,000s buy this collection of websites. And then there was a pirate. There was a pirate on the page. They had hacked. And I thought it was me. Me being the young novice, I was like, oh man, I'm growing so big as a business. They hacked me. It wasn't it, right? They hacked GoDaddy. I just happened to be a website. They had hacked like 100,000 websites all at one shot. But yeah, it taught me a couple lessons. One, you got to be, especially in tech, spread yourself out to make sure, you don't know if YouTube's going to be around or Twitter's going to be around next year, so keep that content downloaded somewhere that you can regurgitate it next year. If you do, let's take podcasting, for example, right? That's just an example that we're doing right now. If we shoot 100 episodes of this podcast and then in the next 3 years, a new technology comes about that eliminates iTunes, right? Or eliminates that place where that content lies. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure to have that content to regurgitate it, because they're still regurgitating content from 1930, right? The same picture from 1930 is getting relicensed. The same movie is getting relicensed. The same magazine cover is getting relicensed. The same music is getting relicensed. So anything audio or visual can get licensed again later. The question is, do you have the content, or did it get lost? Did you save it on somewhere? And are you regurgitating? So the same, any kind of content that you could put somewhere else. So for example, if you were just let's say we didn't record this and you're a podcast out there and you're saying, oh, Nick, that's a great idea. I wish I could have recorded my podcast to put it on vlogs. Well, if you go to Fiverr or some of these freelance websites, you can find someone to shoot a cartoon around your voice. And now, boom, you're on the visual element, right? Because your content is either visual, audio, right? This is the first I'm kind of thinking this out loud with you here. Mm-hmm. But video or audio, right? But those content pieces is what has been gotten. Look, the Jackson 5, you still hear they came out on a vinyl. Mm-hmm. They came out on a vinyl and they're still selling that content 30 years later, right? In a different medium. So that's what I would say for any of us building content. And I've been getting more diligent about this too. And it's hard because what happens is the content I shot in the year 2000 for happyhourmagazine.com is stuck on my Mac. It's stuck on a Mac the size like this, right? I got to get a CD to burn it. And then once I burn the CD, my computer now doesn't have a CD player. Mine doesn't either. It's like, what am I doing with the CD? You got to transfer that over. So it's complicated, but the more you can regurgitate the content on mediums right now, the easier really it gets to do that. And then hopefully somebody else is taking that content and regurgitating it, right?
Right, exactly. Well, I look forward to keeping in touch with you and seeing how your businesses grow, working with you, helping, sending clients your way. And I hope the listeners, if anybody's stuck with business planning or anything tech, do you still do websites, Nick?
Yeah, I do websites. I like to say, like I said, from the napkin to the NASDAQ. So investor presentations, business plans, you need projected financials. You need to form an LLC or a partnership or a corporation. I do that.
Oh, that's good.
And then website. So basically, as an entrepreneur, I've done all these things, right? I had to form my own LLC. I had to form my own corporation. I had to build my own website. So now that I learned, it's kind of my way of giving back to other entrepreneurs. And then sometimes they don't need that stuff. There's a lot of times clients come, I say, just call me for 15 minutes. Even if you don't need anything, call me. You don't know what might happen. But in that 15 minutes, there's sometimes our clients think they need one thing and they don't, The number one thing that makes your business credible is a customer. That's it. You don't need anything else. Exactly. A customer, no business card, no podcast, no vlog, no nothing.
Right. Simplify. Yeah. Well, I thank you for your time and all the information. I've learned a lot, and I hope the listeners have. And I thank everybody for joining in to this episode with Vizion with Alaska Tracy. And remember to click the subscribe button so that the next episode can get put right into your inbox. Thank you for joining, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks.
Bye-bye.